He spent nearly 80 of his 101 years on Earth serving his country, 38 years in uniform, then another 40 years in retirement, helping others in uniform. Retired Air Force Colonel Stephen dePyssler passed away this past Saturday. Tonight on The Good Stuff, with help from his son, we honor the man who no doubt is a hero and a legend to our military community.
Real appreciation for an outstanding individual.
From city leaders
We do hereby give special recognition to retired Colonel Steve dePyssler.
to governors to an entire branch of the military. The name dePyssler carries weight far beyond his retired rank of colonel.
I spent 9 years as a full colonel because I couldn't get promoted to general because I was only a high school graduate.
That was Colonel dePyssler 3 years ago at the young age of 98. At one of the many moments he and other veterans have taken to meet and shake hands with the young people now charged with protecting our country. A job in his 38 years in uniform he never took lightly.
Mostly what it means for me is that it meant so much to him.
The colonel's son, Bruce, is in town from North Carolina to handle his dad's affairs. And for a 101-year-old man going on 31,
My dad was always coming up with something that had to be done.
he was still knee-deep in affairs, items on his to-do list, even in retirement.
He didn't really retire. He stopped getting paychecks.
He spent the last 4 decades continuing to give to his country. One of his many gigs, volunteering inside the Retirees Affairs Office.
I have been the director since 1988. I'm a motivational speaker. I have 2 newspapers that I publish. The other part of my job is helping widows. This is my widow's handbook.
That was at the age of 100.
You look at his calendar in there, there's X up till about March 10th.
It's when the COVID lockdown forced him to stay home and kept him from doing what he loved, helping counsel many of our young military men and women.
I gotta be careful making that
Unlike his birthday celebrations the last few years, which drew hundreds, or the excitement behind renaming the very building where the colonel volunteered in his honor, the colonel's unceremonious departure from the base 4 months ago still stings a bit.
There's the sense that he had a long, fulfilling life, but it's sad that he had a couple years left. I mean, he had a couple years of productivity.
A fulfilling life, then attacked by an enemy, unlike any the colonel ever faced in World War II, Korea, the French Indochina or Vietnam Wars, COVID-19.
Got a squeeze out of his hand. He opened his eyes, recognized me, and that was, a couple days before he died.
I met Bruce outside the Northwest Louisiana Veterans Home in Bossier City, fittingly, because this wasn't just the colonel's final home address, but the new address for many of our veterans beginning in 2007. Here's the colonel back then giving us a tour of his latest dream, whose fundraising leadership also helped get it built.
If you're going to ask people to put their lives on the line, you need to take care of them.
A point well taken, even from this one-time long-haired kid from the 70s.
I'd come home with long hair, opposing the Vietnam War, and we wouldn't argue about it. He would just sort of, I'm his son.
A son who learned how driven his father was, even at an early age, when the family, along with wife Gloria, were stationed at a then desolate Minot, North Dakota.
There's nothing for kids to do, so he says, okay, I'm going to start the Little League.
From baseball programs to youth hockey rinks in the 1960s, to the War Memorial in Bossier City, to this fallen soldier cross monument in the Northwest Louisiana Veterans Cemetery in 2015.
100 years from now, that's bronze. We'll still be there.
Yes, we'll still be talking about all the things Colonel Stephen dePyssler did for others 100 years from now as well.
And he said this to me, throughout my life, is you got to help people.
My goal in life is to help one person every day as long as I live.
You've got to help people out. You've got to do what you can to help people.
I consider myself not a hero, but I just consider myself as so fortunate that I have the ability to still be able to do things.
Bruce and his dad may have never seen eye to eye on wars, but he was his hero. He put that actually on that photo before I ever asked to use that photo tonight. His wife, Gloria, married for over 75 years. She, too, tested positive for COVID-19. She's doing okay. Services for the retired colonel will be this Friday on Barksdale Air Force Base.